if you will kind of highlight moving forward.
Absolutely. Good morning, Chairman Fletcher, members of the board, Yuba County staff, Yuba-Sutter Arts and Culture staff and board members, and friends of art and culture in Yuba County. I'm David Reed, Executive Director of Yuba-Sutter Arts and Culture, the organization that has represented Yuba County to the California Arts Council for 41 years. The matter before us today is the passage of a resolution by the Yuba County Board stating that Yuba-Sutter Arts and Culture is the designated representative for the county to the California Arts Council. There is zero fiscal impact to the county for this action. However, the passage of the resolution will reinstate the pipeline for state funding for our counties conservatively in the amount of $200,000, if not more, through various grant programs. Last week, the YSAC board met for its monthly meeting. During its COVID policy discussion, the board agreed to dropping our masking policy. Excuse me. Our board also agreed to continue to monitor guidelines closely and to follow the recommendations of health professionals and adapt its policy based on new information each month. As the COVID situation continues to evolve, our board will act accordingly. One important factor in our decision is based on guidance from our insurance company, who told us that should one of our events be shown to be the source of someone's illness, we have no coverage and could be the subject of litigation. As a result, we see our COVID policy as a prudent measure to protect the viability of our business, regardless of whether or not there have been lawsuits brought against business traced to COVID. There's plenty of employee litigation out there currently pending. We have 3 full-time and 3 part-time employees. Our policy is for the good of our staff, our volunteers, as well as our guests. We have updated and simplified our policy on our website. And let me clear up one of the many bits of misinformation about us that has been circulated. We have never required vaccinations as a condition of admission to our events. In lieu of proof of vaccination, we ask for our negative PCR test result. The tests are widely available in Yuba County for free at Ampla Health, Peachtree Clinic, Harmony Health, St. John's Episcopal right here in Marysville offers free testing. Major pharmacy chains even offer free, convenient drive-through testing. Yes, it is an extra step to attend one of our live events, but come on. These are unprecedented times. Just like buying a ticket online is step 1. You get your test done prior to come is step 2, and that's not that big a deal. A bigger concern for us is finding the way to bring people to events that don't have transportation, or providing free passes to ticketed events for those unable to pay. That's what some of the grant money will help us do. Yuba College has a very similar policy to ours for both students and staff. All must either be vaccinated or submit to weekly COVID testing as a condition of entering classrooms, offices, or their theater. Since 2020, your board has left it up to local organizations and businesses to choose what recommendations they implement. I'm intrigued that on one hand, you've given Yuba County businesses the right to choose which policies they follow, and yet here we have, having chosen a reasonable policy with which you disagree, and we are vilified for making that business decision. Why now are we not allowed the same courtesy to implement policies, even if different from other businesses? But here's one possible compromise solution. We will continue to monitor closely the statistics and discuss current findings at our monthly board meetings. I will personally appear before you each month following those meetings with an update, either as an agendized item or during open public comment, as you prefer. As soon as it is reasonably possible, we'll drop our vaccination or negative test result requirement. You, in turn, will agree to approve our requested resolution today, as your predecessors have done for decades, in order for us to submit our SLP application in a timely manner so that we may continue to function in Yuba County. In fact, we do not have any public events scheduled in our Marysville Theater or Gallery until May, since we're still refurbishing the facility, paint, new flooring, a whole upgrade inside. So all of this about our requirements for admission are a moot point until then. We're hopeful that by May, it will be a whole new world for all of us. It's necessary, if it's necessary, we could defer programs until the start of the new fiscal year, July 1st. It's up to you. I don't think, excuse me, I don't think any of you have run a business during a pandemic whereby you pack 50 people into a cramped art gallery or 150 people into a theater with folks scrunched together to see a show. Our situation is unique. I also suspect that you may not be attending live music or theater events in any of our adjoining communities, like Center for the Arts in Grass Valley or Laxon Auditorium at Chico State, or any of the theaters in Sacramento. Their requirements for admission to any of their events are even stricter than ours. Our local health officials have strongly recommended to us that we continue to implement mitigation measures due to our unique business model to help decrease the risk of transmission for attendees and staff as much as possible. 52% of Yuba County residents, as you know, are now fully vaccinated. Let me recap just a few of the programs and activities unique to Yuba County that we have provided and will continue to provide to the youth, veterans, and residents of the county. All of this has been accomplished and is made sustainable because of the passage of this resolution by prior boards of Yuba County supervisors. The creation of the Arboga Assembly Center, Memorial Park, and interpretive site in South Yuba County. Veterans programs, including bronze face casting workshops for the likes of Obie Wickersham and Richard Doshert. Our Portraits of Veterans project, featuring photographs of 400 veterans, including Supervisor Vasquez, which was taken at the Veteran Support Office at the Yuba College campus. Most recently, we received grant funding from VetArt in San Diego from the California Mental Health Services Oversight and Accountability Commission to support our local veterans who have pursued arts as a career following their time in service. Because of this grant, we were able to provide much needed funding to Yuba College student Luis Gonzalez and his family. Luis is a combat veteran who served in the 82nd Airborne. Other grant beneficiaries include Aaron Burks and Brian. This grant also allowed us to provide several $1,000s of financial support to the Museum of the Forgotten Warriors, thanks to the participation of Yuba County resident and Vietnam combat veteran Bert Johnson. Our youth choir and Applause Kids youth performing arts programs are provided free of charge to students. Poetry Out Loud, our long-running poetry recitation program, which is part of a national program, whereby we send a Yuba County champion on to the state finals. Supervisor Fuhrer, his daughter, was the Yuba County champion a few years ago during her time at MCAA. Scholastic Arts and Writing Awards, where we recognize the creative talents of young writers and artists. Student art shows hosted in our Marysville Art Gallery. Field trips paid for us by us for Yuba County students. Creation of murals in Yuba County, the Bacchae Daydream mural in Old Chinatown, the Japanese American mural at the Buddhist Church, utility box murals, the mural on the campus of South Lyndhurst High School. We are currently collaborating with Yuba College on a new theater mural project on the side of that building, about 9,000 square feet. Excuse me. We provide space for Yuba College speech presentations, student and faculty art shows. MCAA uses our theater for performing arts programs. We host the monthly meetings and history talks and tours on behalf of the Yuba County Historic Resources Commission. Speaking of the commission on which I also serve, we're about to begin the Three Rivers Yuba County History Trail Sign Project to begin self-guided tours to the county involving signs with text, graphics, and QR codes, which will allow access to videos about our local history. And then next up, we'll begin development of a Yuba County history app. State funding allows us to provide staff support for these and other projects, acting as project manager and fiscal agent for the Cotton Rosser Bronze Statue Project in Marysville. The state funding allows us to put on programs like our Short Film Festival, which featured the work of Yuba County filmmakers, including student filmmakers at the Yes Charter Academy and Oregon House. We support other local art and culture groups like the Hub Camera Club and the Tri-County Diversity Group in collaboration with Sutter Yuba Behavioral Health, excuse me. All of these many programs and so many others that we have on the books will be lost should you choose to not renew our status by passage of the resolution before you. Please don't make us the sacrificial lambs for a misguided political agenda based on false information. Please don't make a decision that will disadvantage so many, in fact, all residents of Yuba County, including students, veterans, and the county and city governments and school districts with whom we collaborate on public and other art projects and programs. Punish us, if you will, for our health policy by not providing us with any local matching grant funds this year. But please, please allow us to continue to operate in the county as we have done for the betterment of all residents for the past 41 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. So for the For the purpose of this meeting, and we've done some question and answer in the past, I would prefer that we move right to a couple of speakers. I'm sure we have at least 2 or 3 that would like to, 11, that's 3, that would like to make a short comment or 2. So let's start with that. When we're finished with that portion, we'll come back to the board. And if we have any questions at that time, we'll ask you back up. Is that fair?
Perfect, thank you.
Okay.
Through the chair, we have 12 cards. You want me to start?
Well, let's start and let's see how quickly we can run through these. Hopefully the message that's being spread to us is a variety. If there are the same theme over and over, I may ask that we narrow that down, but let's begin and let's see where we go.
First person we have is Cynthia Fonte.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Fontaine.
Good morning.
Good morning. I live at 725 F Street here in Marysville. I'll admit my bias right away. I'm wearing my heart on my sleeve. I was on the board of the Arts Council for 10 years. I've lived here for 14. And I was the president one time. I was the vice president, and I chaired a number of special grant-related projects that we did for literacy and a variety of others. I'm also an artist myself and have participated in a number of the group shows that the Arts Council has had in the gallery. Although my first one-woman show was at the Brick about 10 years ago. So thank you, Don Blazer, my patron of the arts. I won't go into all of the other wonderful things that the Arts Council does. David gave you a brief précis of that. But I want to talk about the issue at hand, which is why are they asking for either vaccination or a test? They're not an outlier in this. I spent a little time over the weekend researching all the places. If you don't want to be vaccinated and you don't want to have a test, well, then you can't come to an Arts Council event basically anywhere in the state. But I looked at other things too. So in addition to the Crocker Art Museum, you could not go to the Music Circus, Disney on Ice, see a Kings game or anything at the Golden One Center. You couldn't see the Golden State Warriors. We know you couldn't go to the Olympics. You couldn't go to the Super Bowl, the Rose Bowl, Six Flags in Vallejo, the Exploratorium, the California Academy of Science, the Hollywood Wax Museum, the Monterey Bay Aquarium, Universal Studios, Knott's Berry Farm. And really, who goes to Knott's Berry Farm anymore? Well, you can't go unless you can prove you've been vaccinated or have a negative test. You can't go to the Hollywood Bowl, the Rose Bowl, the Super Bowl, Santa Anita Racetrack. You can't even go to the rodeo in Clovis. You can't go to Nashville to any of the music venues there, including the Grand Ole Opry. You also can't go to Ohio to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You can't go to New York to Madison Square Garden, to 41 Broadway theaters, to Radio City Music Hall to see the Rockettes. You also can't be a Rockette. You can't go to the Statue of Liberty, the Empire State Building. You can't take a cruise, not on Cunard, on Princess, Carnival, Royal Caribbean, Viking, Holland America. And you also can't go anywhere in the state of Hawaii. They won't let you get off the plane.
Cynthia, if you can wrap this up,
Yes.
We're going to try to keep everyone within 3 minutes.
My point is that the Arts Council is very much in the mainstream of thoughtful organizations, and I don't think that we should penalize them for following the same procedures as so many of these other organizations. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Second person we have is Sandra Malo.
Morning, board members.
Good morning.
Thank you for holding a special board meeting for the resolution for the Yuba-Sutter Arts Council. I want to point out yesterday, several news outlets have written news pieces on the Poison Control Center's notification of dangerous chemicals in the testing kits. This confirms my fear for testing. I don't want my tax-paying dollars to fund a group that discriminates in the county I pay taxes in because I don't believe in the vaccine. And we are not other counties. Once again, I think the Arts Council is wonderful, but this board passed a resolution not to have vax passports. The Yuba-Sutter Arts Council appears to not have really changed their minds about where they're going with their papers or testing with those deadly chemicals, and we are 2 years into this mess. I think it's safe to say most of the people who want to be vaccinated have been. They have that right, and I believe in that choice. And lastly, if the board members of the Arts Council believe the CDC's recommendations, why not the poison control centers? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next person we have is Chris Pedigo.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Chris Pedigo, 139 O'Lear Road. I am a former city councilman of 6 terms as a board member of Yuba-Sutter Arts. Yuba-Sutter Arts does more for the community, for the challenged, for all the educational needs of our community when it comes to art. Our schools don't provide it as much as they used to. They've created an environment where people can thrive. And I find it interesting, we talk about political resolutions versus resolutions that help your community. And by supporting this resolution to continue the funding, you are supporting your community. Many of us can agree or disagree about political resolutions, some of which are on your board agenda for weeks and months and years. And so, my opinion, you should support the Arts Council in this resolution. And as Vice President of the Mary Aaron Museum Association, the history trail that's going to start in Yuba County will provide as much or more history that's been provided by this county in many, many years. And yes, I can have the tone of a negative Nelly, but let me tell you, stuff like this gets to me because history in this county is underfunded, underexplored, and this may be the only opportunity we have to do that. So please support Yuba-Sutter Arts and continue their funding. Thank you.
Thank you.
Recording in progress.
Next person we have is Pamela Novak.
Good morning. I'm Pam Novak.
morning.
Thank you very much for this opportunity to speak to you. I am an artist, an art teacher, visual and performing arts content lead of Yuba City High School, and I am proud to say that I am also the artist in residence this year for Yuba-Sutter Arts and Culture. I would like to today talk about the importance of art. First of all, art is a universal language. Human history is recorded in pottery, hieroglyphs, painting, and architecture. Almost everyone can understand some form of art. A careful look at the world makes an artist's value clear. The books, magazines, websites that we read are all designed by artists. Every building created by an architect's pencil. Clothing, cars, furniture, bridges, you have a lovely one here, are all inputted through an artist's eye. Even the space shuttle began their experience as drawings on a piece of paper. Visual arts support a higher order thinking in authentic and unique ways. I would like to tell you that there are more than 10 important lessons we can all learn from art, but I'll keep it to 10. The arts teach us to make good judgments about qualitative relationships. Unlike much of life that's ruled by rules and facts and figures, like my checking account, the arts actually let you make a judgment where rules don't prevail. Number 2, The artists teach us that problems can have more than one solution and that questions can have more than one answer. The arts celebrates multiple perspectives. One of their large lessons is that there are many ways to see and interpret our world. The arts teach us that in complex forms of problem solving, purposes are seldom fixed, but change with circumstances and opportunity. Learning in the arts requires the ability and a willingness to surrender to the unanticipated possibilities of our life and our world as they unfold. Number 5, the arts make vivid the fact that neither words in their literal form or numbers exhaust what we can know. The limits of our language do not define the limits of our cognition. The arts teach us that there are no small differences that have large effects. The arts traffic in subtleties. The arts teach us to think through and within our world. In all art forms, they imply some form of using our imagination to make images real. The arts help us learn to say what cannot be said. When you ask someone what they think of a work of art, it's important to know that they can find poetic ways of interpreting that art, and often from many different viewpoints. The arts enable us to have...
If you'll wrap this up in a few seconds, we're running out of time.
Absolutely. My last one is that I hope that you will definitely pass the resolution before you, because we all need art.
Great, thank you.
Next person we have is Shantae Arroyo.
As a reminder, I'm trying to keep this within 3 minutes, and if you can do it in 1, you get extra points for this, so.
Good morning. Thank you to the Yuba County Board of Supervisors. My name is Shantae Arroyo, and I am speaking for Susan Miller, who is currently on jury duty. Susan is a board member of the Yuba-Sutter Arts and Culture Council and a former board member, co-chairperson of the Sutter Performing Arts Association. Susan's purpose in addressing you is to ask you for your support in reauthorizing Yuba-Sutter Arts Council as your local affiliate of the California Arts Council. As you know, the Sutter Performing Arts Association completed its goal of rehabbing the first half of the old Sutter Theater. I was honored to serve on that board for 9 of the 14 years of the project. When it came time to move forward with the next phase, quickly and without exception, each SPAA board member realized that the Yuba-Sutter Arts and Culture Council was the logical choice to take our work and move it to the next level for several reasons. Number 1, the current YSAC has the leadership and track record for fundraising and securing grants so necessary for this work to continue, and they have an infrastructure to support the work. 2, the council is widely recognized in this community and beyond for its tremendous history, commitment, and quality work. And number 3, the main goal of the SPAA was to serve both counties and recognize the tremendous local talent. And YSAC does just that, and so very well. Almost immediately upon owning the Sutter Theater, the YSAC hosted several events, all received with enthusiasm and excitement and promise of building a stronger commitment to the arts. They have set goals to explore the feasibility of rehabbing the back theater into a full theater with backstage capacity, tiered seating, and other amenities. It is a fact that COVID has complicated many things in the arts communities. As a board, it was imperative that we follow our state and national guidelines as venues opened up. As a result, the board researched many other theater and event policies within the greater Sacramento region. And our current policy is in line with the others holding various art events. The Yuba-Sutter Art and Culture Board respects the rights of all individuals, and we must also provide a safe environment. To do less would be irresponsible. Our insurance will not cover us if people become ill or worse at our events. As a board, we continue to revisit the policy and refine it so it is in line with our community needs. Please continue to support the arts in Yuba County. Without your support, our existence in Yuba County will not be able to continue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next person we have is Sue Sainer Moyers.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
I'm Susanna Moyers and a fifth generation local hick. And my job in life is to share history. I'm currently the chairman of the Yuba County Historical Resources Commission and got to work with all of you. And I just wanted to tell you our commission receives no funding. So we have partnered with YUBA-Sutter Arts and Culture, and they have brought many programs that we have access to. The Arboga project about the Japanese, if we hadn't partnered with them and got the $85,000 grant, that would be non-existent. It's the only one in the United States. The other program, the 100 Faces of Endearment, all of these things were funded by YUBA-Sutter Arts and Culture. This history trails that we're working on will benefit all fourth grade students because we're taking it off of the state standards, and it's accessible to everyone. It's outside. We have over 85 already identified historical sites in Yuba County. If the Yuba-Sutter Arts Council becomes the Sutter Arts Council and not representing Yuba County, all of that will go away. We also do our monthly talks and tours. The Arts Council has been generously loaning us the building and the equipment. I've personally been to 3 events there this year with the COVID policy that they have in force, and we've turned no one away. People come, they understand, and they're more than willing to comply with what's going. So I just want to urge you not to deprive our citizens of what we've finally got going in Yuba County. They are our vehicle for sharing our local history. And so please make this happen, and let's keep 41 years of the Arts Council, now YUBA-Sutter Arts and Culture here in Yuba County. We really need that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next person we have is Norindis.
Jawal, and I'm really sorry if I messed up your name.
Not a problem at all. Narinda Dhaliwal, I am the current president of YUBA-Sutter Arts and Culture, and I would like to further commit to the board everything that David has said as far as us reviewing policies on a regular basis and David coming back to the board with a report of where we are at. We are not actively discriminating against anybody. Our doors are open for anyone to attend following the policies we currently have, and I respectfully ask you to provide the resolution so that we can move our work forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next person we have is Micah Granger.
Hello. My name is Micah Granger. My pronouns are they, them, theirs. I'm 18 and live in the Yuba-Sutter area. I am an alumni of MCAA, and I am inspiring to be a professional actor. Today, I would like to discuss my view on the mask mandate requirements for the Yuba-Sutter Arts. Firstly, I would like to thank the Yuba-Sutter Arts for following all protocols up until this point, helping and keeping our community safe and healthy during these struggling times. Life as we knew it turned completely 180 2 years ago, the start of the pandemic. While we were used to going to the office or other work residences, we now have to make do with our offices at home. And while we scrambled to even have our computer set up, hurriedly buying cameras for Zoom calls, artists didn't really go anywhere. The work from home as we know it has always been just work for those who have chosen to step out of the normal 9 to 5 and into 24/7 relentless work days. I sympathize with those who understand what I mean by an inability to set boundaries. For those who don't understand, the inability to set boundaries have turned some lives whose work was 9 to 5 into a 24/7 job unwillingly. No longer could we reason with ourselves that we needed our 5 to 10 minute break or our work ended at 9 because our work was now always in front of us. Similar to the life of an artist, similar to how their lives are, if their lives are not walking, talking, breathing, dreaming art, and unhealthy and obsession with work, they are not working hard enough. The exhaustion is real, and so is the fatigue. We are also tired, but we have no choice. We have to keep going, states Lynette Leckers, intern department head of counseling at Community College of Philadelphia. Which brings us to sick days and sick leaves that you would discuss with your manager or boss. Days we need in order to work at our full capacity without fear of losing money in the upcoming paycheck. However, artists are usually their own bosses, meaning they still have to work in order to get paid. They work through migraines, exhaustion, fatigue. They work through stifling noses and sore throats. Let me remind you, this is with grants that we currently have in place. Losing any grant will push artists away, and I believe while it's their job to make art for us consumers, it is our job to support artists by buying art and giving grants. With the lingering threat of COVID, let us not expose them to more sicknesses. We need to protect the arts now more than ever. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next one we have is Maya Scanlon.
Hi, my name is Amaya Scanlon, and I live in Yuba County. I am also on the board of Tri-County Diversity. I am here in support of Yuba-Sutter Arts and Culture. They have been dedicated to the mission of bringing arts and culture to this community for over 40 years. And it's very sad that this organization faces this situation today due to a small group of people basing complaints and threats on conspiracies and lies. In my participation with YSAC, I have been nothing but impressed with their dedication to this community by providing quality arts and culture events to our area, as well as showing support to local artists, performers, schools, educators and students, veterans, other Yuba County businesses, and Yuba County organizations, and the community as a whole. I have observed the staff at YSAC navigating through the COVID pandemic with a resilience and strength that is to be commended. They not only worked with a huge pandemic hurdle, but rose above with the immense stress brought to the community and the organization itself by making and regularly reevaluating protocols and requirements as needed to provide us with the best programming in the safest manner possible. I witnessed their work in creating a careful balance between following the mandates, researching recommendations, acknowledging the importance of health and safety for themselves, their staff, and the community, as they constantly stayed informed to make updates as needed while being transparent and keeping the community informed of the changes based on mandates, science developments, and the community needs in a timely manner. Yuba-Sutter Arts and Culture, due to their dedication to the community and their love of the arts, chose to add to their own workload by staying up to date with ever-changing needs for the organization and the community while coming up with creative solutions to continue in their mission, working even harder to stay flexible and accommodate while still bringing us the best in arts, education, and entertainment. They changed events, dates, venues, and even increased the amounts of programming available through this time by bringing amazing entertainment to our community through virtual events and concerts in multiple formats for accessibility. They provided grants and opportunities to help artists thrive. They encouraged students, veterans, and youth to participate in virtual programs and outdoor events while with drive and enthusiasm. Yuba-Sutter Arts and Culture has shown Yuba County their incredible dedication and care for our community as a whole, and we should stand up and show them the same care and support that they have provided Yuba County for the past 40 years. The true and long-lasting loss, if the resolution is not signed, will be to the Yuba County artists, performers, schools, educators, and students, veterans, businesses, and organizations, and the community members who will never be the same if having to say goodbye to YSAC. And instead of what we are doing today, we should be following Yuba-Sutter Arts and Culture's example and showing them even more support, dedication, and care for all they have done and would be able to continue to do for everyone in Yuba County.
If you'll wrap this up, please.
Last sentence. Let arts and culture continue to thrive in Yuba County, and please support YSAC by signing the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next person we have is Donna Wahlberg.
morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
First, I'd like to address this group and let you know I totally support the arts. I think they're doing a fantastic job at YUBA-Sutter Arts. This has nothing to do with the job they're doing. It's about constitutional rights, okay? So I totally support Mr. Reed and YUBA-Sutter Arts and Culture being granted the representative position for Yuba and Sutter counties, as long as there is a restriction that he not impose COVID mandates on people, okay? This is about freedom, people. I'm gonna say something. This was one of our founding fathers, I think Benjamin Franklin. My phone has just been going crazy and challenging me these past few days to try to prepare for this, but I'll do the best I can. Anyway, he said, whoever gives up their freedom for a little comfort deserves neither, okay? And that's what everybody's doing. They're compromising their freedom by just complying. You heard the laundry list of all the organizations and places that your first speaker this morning named, where you cannot go without these, proof of vaccine or a negative test, whatever. And I know Mr. Reed says he doesn't require a test, but he certainly is imposing on people's rights to privacy, their health information, and it's kind of like putting a little gun to your head, saying either, get vaccinated or tested or do something affirmative or you can't come in here. That is a violation of our rights and our freedom. There are people, there are different points of views and all should be listened to, which I want to comment on, by the way. I went on YUBA-Sutter Arts Facebook page yesterday and I wanted to comment on Mr. Reed's letter. He sent a letter out to his community on Facebook asking everybody to write letters and show up today, and referred to us, me, and people that have been protesting at art events as being members of Glad Tidings, which, by the way, I'm not a member of Glad Tidings. I'm a part of a group that meets at Glad Tidings. I go to events out there. I'm not a member. So even though I think they're, a greater church, religion isn't my thing, God is, okay? But anyway, I wanted this community to know how much I love the arts. I am very much involved in the arts, have been my whole life. I was married to a musician for, many years, and it's just, but now I'm excluded because I choose not to get vaccinated, okay? Anyway, I wrote a very thoughtful, kind post on the Facebook page, and it was deleted, okay? So we not only are excluded from the group, we're excluded from having a voice or showing a different point of view or explaining why we're doing what we're doing. And this is not right. And the reason all these organizations have this mandate in place is because people are complying. They are refusing or just submitting. And that is going to cost us our freedom. Is this the society we want to live in? I'm asking you to abide by your word, keep your integrity, and stand by the resolution that you all signed in September of 2021, where you said you were not going to support anyone forcing vaccines or these kind of mandates down people's throats. That's exactly what they're doing. To grant this while he maintains that policy is complete odds with that resolution. I'm asking you to stand up for your word, stand up for freedom. I totally support Mr. Reed. I think they're doing a fantastic job over there. I want to participate. I probably wouldn't be welcome, but all I'm asking, see, I can't have a voice even. All I'm asking is for them to maybe have a suggestion, like, please, we would appreciate it if you wear a mask, or, whatever. That like the acting company does. They have a good policy. They put measures in with the air filter system, things like that. Don't compromise our freedoms. I'm asking you. This is very important because this could set a precedent in this county. And if you stand up now, maybe nobody else will do it. If you allow this to go through and let this mandate, you support someone having this mandate, other businesses will follow suit. The next thing you know, we won't be able to go to a grocery store and buy food for our families unless we show proof of vaccine or take a test. It's not right. This is about freedom. It is not about the arts. And
Okay,
I urge you,
can you
please,
wrap that? Thank you.
please either add restriction into the language and
Thank
grant it
you.
or don't grant it.
Thank you.
Next person we have is Sarah Seelander. Sarah Seelander, please.
I'm Sarah Seelander. I taught at Yuba College in the art department for 38 years full-time, and I kept going part-time in the lecture hall until the pandemic came, and I managed to finish with 17 students passing online, but it's not my thing, so I'm no longer a Yuba College professor. However, and I'm really long-winded and I don't want to take more time, I sent a letter to the board, all members of the board, last week, and I appreciated hearing responses from a couple of you. I'm going to read the last paragraph of my letter, and it's sentimental, and I believe in remembering good people. And so here's the paragraph. I was friends with Lee Burroughs, the amazing woman who changed our lives by creating this council in the first place. Our Marysville theater space is named for Lee, the Lee Burroughs Center for the Arts. I remember how few opportunities existed for local artists in the 1970s and marvel at how far we have come since those days. Please, please honor Lee's memory by continuing to support the county in which she lived. We need Yuba-Sutter arts in this county. I live in Sutter County now, but my heart as a professor, as someone who loves her students still, is in this county, and I really want to see a gesture of support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next person we have is John Parhizar.
Good morning, honorable members
Good morning.
of the council. Nice to be here with you again. I'll be making sure to stay before under 3 minutes. As I was here last week, went home Friday, 2/25/22. I heard the news that CDC is relaxing COVID guidances, allowing most people to ditch masks if hospitalization remains low. And then the rest of the world, many countries in the world, including United Kingdom, Ireland, Scotland, Czech Republic, have also done away with a lot of the mandate requirements that they had. And so have many other states in our United States and counties have gone along the same way. And you gentlemen were the front runners when you passed the resolution last September. And I still applaud you for that. I strongly suggest what we are dealing with has to do with the color of the money and the strings attached with it. The Yuba-Sutter Arts issue is the money that they get, it comes with strings attached. They are required to put these requirements on their funding. And I am concerned, I am confused. I was looking at at Mr. Reed's email to the members of his community saying the resolution has zero fiscal impact. When you come and ask for $10,000 in money, that doesn't mean zero fiscal impact. It does have an impact. And if you feel yourself in a position that you have no other alternative but to approve the resolution, which I hope you won't, approve it with zero money, with zero funds. You can show your approval and your support for the art and go with that. And I have a feeling once that happens, the Art Center will definitely take this a lot more serious in shifting their position and getting with the rest of the world as we are open. I thank you for your time. I'm glad that we have 38 seconds left. And last thing, please do not segregate. Pardon me?
You lose points. You want to get all the points you can. So.
Okay, thank you, sir. Please do not segregate art lovers based on anything but good behavior and their enjoyment of art. Thank you.
Thank you.
Through the chair, we do have 3 persons wanting to speak via Zoom.
Okay, you have the names?
First one we have is Julie Baker.
Yes, hi. Thank you for inviting me today to speak. Thank you, Board of Supervisors, for the opportunity to speak in support of the request from YUBA-Sutter Arts and Culture to adopt a resolution authorizing execution of state-local partnership program for YUBA-Sutter Arts and Culture with California Arts Council. My name is Julie Baker, and I'm the Executive Director of Californians for the Arts, a statewide organization whose mission is to build public awareness of the value and impact of arts, culture, and creativity across California. I am also an elected official from neighboring Nevada County, where I sit on the Nevada County School Board. I understand the pressure and challenges of navigating public policies during this polarizing moment in our history. However, I'm also acutely aware that an elected official's duty is to keep the public safe and to build a community that is vital, prosperous, and just. I would suggest today that by authorizing the execution of this agreement, you are fulfilling your duties to your community. With this authorization, YUBA-Sutter Arts has the opportunity to apply for state and federal funding, bringing needed dollars into your community to build arts programming and provide jobs to people in the creative industries. According to their annual report, YUBA-Sutter Arts brings on average over $200,000 to the community from state and federal funds. The return on investment is exponential. According to the National Endowment for the Arts, for every dollar of NEA direct funding leverages up to $9 in private and other public funds. In the case of YUBA-Sutter Arts, that is $1.9 million. Of course, this is not even counting the event spending for every ticket they sell to performance, which results in over $31 on average in spending in area restaurants, hotels, and retail. The economic benefit, which we know is sorely needed as we recover from the economic impacts of the pandemic, is also not asking for any direct investment from the board, just the signing of this resolution, or the general fund in your case, but in fact, just asking you to authorize an agreement that hasn't been in place for 35 years. There is no fiscal impact. Frankly, this should be one of your easier board decisions. We also know the arts bring more than economic benefit, and as we heal from the impacts of the pandemic, we will need the arts even more for our youth who are facing mental health crises and to our communities in need of programs that bring us together. I urge you to support the authorization and to continue to build a vibrant Yuba County community through the arts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next person we have on Zoom is Steve Dilly.
I need to be unmuted. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Steve Dilley. I'm the Executive Director of the Veterans Art Project. Since 2009, the Veterans Art Project and YUBA-Sutter Arts have a long-standing collaboration, and we've worked together to expand the arts offerings to American veterans in the Yuba-Sutter area. Their dedication has helped Vet Art to find and be picked as a contractor for a 3-year agreement with YUBA-Sutter Arts, Veterans Art Project, and the Mental Health Services Oversight Accountability Commission. And this contract is for veterans' mental health and wellness through pop-up art cafes. We're in our 2nd year of these pop-up art cafes, and we support veterans in the Yuba-Sutter area to share their stories of wellness through the arts. And I personally believe that the role of government is to support the safety of those who have elected them. And that is my idea of what the role of government is. And I would like to encourage the Board of Supervisors to keep a robust support for YUBA-Sutter Arts today, tomorrow, in the future. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Next person we have is Liz Cervantes.
Hi there. Good morning.
Good morning.
I think that we're missing the point on this. Nobody is arguing that the arts are wonderful, that they are necessary. I believe that the issue here is when taxpayer dollars are extracted from said taxpayer, that we have a problem being dictated to on how we can enter or exit or participate in taxpayer funded categories such as the YUBA-Sutter Arts. This is tyranny, and the Arts Council is discriminating. That's my problem. And I'm strongly advocating for you to oppose further funding for the Arts Council. That doesn't mean that we can't attend. We can, and we can support in other areas. But please recognize this for what it is. It's control, it's tyranny. Our liberties have been taken away. And for the young woman that identifies with all of the pronouns, every single one of those pronouns is being discriminated against. One more thing. I believe that 8:15 in the morning is obscene. It is taking your constituents, the people that have placed you in this office of leadership, you are rendering them voiceless because they are working. I would like for the Yuba County supervisors to go back to a 6 p.m. meeting so that you can hear what regular hardworking people are dealing with. We want to speak to you. We want communication. The one last thing I'm going to say, because I want all those points, Supervisor Fletcher, is I am very, very saddened and disturbed at how the Church of Glad Tidings has somehow been rope-a-doped into this situation and made to look like they are forcing this issue. I am not a member of Glad Tidings, and I want everyone to know that. That church, you want to talk about arts? They got it going on out there.
So Liz, if you'll stay on point, be appreciated.
It is public comment, and I think I could read names out of the phone book.
No, this is a very focused. So is there anything else you can add to this?
That is it, except for please see this for what it is. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next person we have is Ann Schumacher.
Everybody.
Good morning.
I'm Ann Schumacher. Well, I think this whole thing is ridiculous, to tell you the truth. This is really not about arts. It's about masking or not masking, or vaccinating or not vaccinating. I have three children that went to Marysville Charter Academy for the Arts. When it first started, Seth, I know your kids went there. I am completely 100% behind the arts. So are my parents. My parents are in their 80s, and they have chosen not to be vaccinated. They're very healthy, have not gotten sick through this whole thing, but they would be excluded from going to some arts things. And my parents love the arts. They supported my children as they went to the charter school. I'm a musician myself and an artist. Matter of fact, my late boyfriend, Ward Clark, was an amazing, amazing professional musician and an artist, a sheet metal artist. And he did a lot of the sheet metal work for free, without pay, that was done at the Sutter Theater. Just want to let you guys know that. Beautiful art. If you see the sheet metal on the sides there, he did that work. In a second, I got to see my... So, and it even is excluding some of the vaccinated people, because there's many vaccinated people who don't want to get the booster because they ended up getting sick anyways. I have a lot of friends like that, and people who are not even political, to tell you the truth, but who just said, I don't want to wear a mask for this whole thing, right? You know, you got people blowing on horns and stuff, but everybody's got to keep their masks on, but except the people that have to blow on the horns while they're performing. I mean, it doesn't make sense. And I just don't understand why it's tied to the money. And I'd like to know why it is, because it seems like everybody that is for this has a vested financial interest in it. And I think the arts can go on. I don't think that you can't stop the arts. You know, the arts are about free expression. There's a lot of starving artists around who just give themselves freely. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't be supported in any way, shape, or form, but when they come down with mandates like this, I think it's wrong.
Because like I said, arts are about freedom and freedom of expression. And let's see, what else do I want to say? So I have a daughter who is now having problems seeing a cardiologist, I don't know if it's myocarditis or anything like that, but after she was forced to get the vaccine, she still got COVID a couple of times, it wasn't very hard or anything like that. She had a mild case, and a girlfriend of hers got a vaccine. She went to Chico and Walgreens, and she passed out. Her first Pfizer shot, she passed out and started seizing. And they gave her they had a recording of it and gave her the DVD of it, and then going to the hospital with chest.
If you'll wrap that up.
All right. Well, anyways, I'm just.
Thank you.
I wanted just to say that the arts are allowed even in communist countries, arts are allowed, but it has to pass through and be approved by the state.
Thank you for your time.
But that's not freedom.
Thank you.
Next person we have is Marcelo Hernandez.
Members of the board, I'll be quick. My name is Marcelo Hernandez Castillo. I am the poet laureate, the only poet laureate in the entire California state to be the poet laureate of 2 counties. I am a nationally known writer. I teach at St. Mary's College, and I am the editor for the Academy of American Arts Poem a Day, which gets millions of subscribers. I have chosen to stay here. I was raised here because I want to make an impact to my community. By the logic that you see, this slippery slope, I teach rhetoric. This is a basic fallacy. By that logic, why don't we just, protest licenses? Why don't we just protest showing your ID to drink at a bar? Why don't we just protest traveling with passports? I don't want to show my passport. Why don't we just protest wearing pants in here? Why is everybody in here wearing pants? Why? Because it's for the safety of everyone else. Why don't we protest urinating in public? That's not going to affect me. If I go urinate in public, that's not going to affect me. It might affect somebody else, but I don't care. This is how this is all sounding. These measures are temporary. These measures are temporary, but this act to kill the arts isn't. This is an evolving situation that we adapt to. This isn't something that's going to stay like this. We are carefully watching the situation. Thank God that infections are low. And art makes a difference. Art heals, and what we need right now is healing. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
That is all the cards.
Great. David, can you come back to the podium? Let me bring this back to the board. So, from the board, are there any questions for David?
So I'm curious, the purpose of the protection policy that has a vax component to it is to protect people. But as we've heard, there are people who've had the vax that have breakthrough cases. It seems the vax is less effective as the variants continue. I think it's down to 2/3 or half capacity effectiveness. So the PCR test purpose is to protect from transmission by keeping those who have contracted the illness from spreading it. Why wouldn't you have the PCR test, since it's so easy and available, I think is what you claimed earlier, be applied to everyone equally so that you could protect people, since vaxxed people can have the illness and spread it? Why not have everyone have the PCR test?
We've been satisfied if proof of vaccination is provided, we waive the testing requirement. I'm not a medical professional, I can't answer that. This is what I've been suggested by Yuba County health officials to follow. So it's just that simple. I've never heard that option. Yes, there certainly are outlier cases where people are fully vaccinated, still get the disease. We've all heard those stories. I follow it very closely. Show a vax card or show a negative PCR test administered by a health professional. Widely available for free.
So it just seems that if our purpose is to protect, then having everyone have the PCR test would be the most protective measure. If we're not going to do the most protective measure, then it seems that we would follow whatever the state requirement is. And the state requirement is that it's for events of 1,000 people where you would have these other conditions. Your events don't usually have 1,000 people.
We don't have that capacity, of course not. Neither do most of the theaters that Ms. Fontaine shared with you, or any of the events I've gone to in theaters involving lower than 1,000 seat capacity. We feel most comfortable, we being our staff and our board and our volunteers, to continue this policy.
And
with
so
a vaccination or a PCR test.
And so it is a policy that you guys are choosing that isn't being mandated by the state. It is something that's arbitrarily determined without the medical background, because you're artists, not doctors.
I'm a businessman, actually, and I'm protecting my business, so thank you.
But many of the other businesses, such as the actual theater in the area, doesn't have a vax mandate component to their policies. In fact, no other voluntary association in our community of both counties, Yuba and Sutter, has this requirement except for yours.
The acting company decided to ignore these issues. They have no policy. That is true, and they also went dormant.
Not
for 2
quite
years.
right. I believe they have a policy of recommending
Masking's
vaccine,
optional, sure.
and so they didn't ignore it. They dealt with
We
it.
don't require a mask at all anymore. That's gone based on state guidance. We still feel most comfortable for our staff, our volunteers, and our guests to continue with our current policy, which, as I said, we'll revisit monthly and come back to you and report. And we're hoping more than anyone that this will be quickly behind us.
You mentioned that we should value your choice in your policy that isn't required by the state. And I don't disagree with you about valuing choice, and I certainly wouldn't want to be accused of giving certain groups more freedoms than other groups. I want everyone to have those freedoms. But those freedoms also, I think, apply to who we choose to partner with. And so there are other arts organizations that we could endorse as the representative. They could bring those hundreds of thousands of dollars of grants into the community. And those organizations could make their events accessible to all of Yuba County instead of only half of Yuba County, as your policy does.
52% majority, but yeah.
Absolutely. 48%, my bad. I'll be more precise. So the 48% would also be included that are currently not. And so you mentioned, I think, Museum of the Forgotten Warrior. I've attended there.
Yep.
They had 50 people. They didn't have a vax mandate component to their policy. So that organization could just as easily bring those dollars in to the county to do arts. There is the Alan Scott Community Center. They do crafts, they do drawing, art classes.
Bingo night, powwow, terrific organization.
They are, and they do lots of stuff. And with the funding of hundreds of thousands of dollars, they could, and they don't have they don't have a vax mandate to their stuff. They could likewise offer more arts activities. I believe you can't afford to offer arts activities in Yuba County without these grants. Those places have not had these grants because you've had a monopoly on them for the 40 years or so. And so allowing us to partner with other organizations who are letting it be accessible to the entire county, it seems to me would be useful.
Please, let's keep the audience. I would ask Supervisor Fuhr, this is an opportunity to ask a question, not to argue. If you have a question, please ask it. If you don't, you'll have an opportunity for a comment.
Well, then I think that answered my questions.
I didn't know that our situation was up for a competitive environment, for a call to organizations in the community that could fulfill the obligations of being the state-local partner, all the different things we do. I mentioned the Museum of Forgotten Warriors and the financial support we've provided. We know all, if not most, of their board members, in addition to Ms. Spear. I'm sure they got the capacity to what they do. Alan Scott Center, or its new Tri-County Youth Center, the new name, I believe, they seem to have a pretty volatile board of directors versus the stability we've demonstrated for many, many years. Maybe, hey, open it up. If you want to put it out to bid, so to speak, we'll do our best. But you got today to decide or the money goes away. So I hope you'll consider.
My understanding was the application is due a week from
It's the 9th.
today.
It's officially the 9th. I like to send them in a day early because the systems, when you're writing grants and applying, if you wait till the last day, the systems get jammed up. So I do it on the 8th. And I thought this was our final shot. We've got a lot of work to do to get it ready to go, whether it's, you know, Sutter Arts Council or Arts Council. So that's up to you today. So. Unless you want to have another special meeting. Do this again.
Okay.
I actually requested you guys have a special meeting so you guys could amend your policy.
Well, we had our board meeting, as I reported, the day after your meeting last week. And I reported on that.
And you could have had a special meeting where you guys amended your policy.
If we have no more
we didn't
questions.
need a special meeting because our board meeting had its regular meeting and discussed the results of last week's Yuba County board meeting.
Okay, I think we've asked the questions. Now let's comments, if you would. Any comments from the board?
I'd be happy to start off. For transparency, I think most of you are aware that I am a member of the Yuba-Sutter Arts Board. I just wanted to make sure that was clear. And then I do have some comments. So beyond the casualties, the pandemic has created a wide range of collateral damage. There has been damage to school children, businesses, personal relationships, and probably the efforts to control homelessness. Now that the required mitigations have been removed, it is time to start repairing all this damage. I do have faith that the Arts Council will be working to bring us back to normalcy. And on just a side note, I'm looking forward to the Mariachi Bonitas, which is, I think, later this month.
Fundraiser in collaboration with the Alliance for Hispanic Advancement, like many of the
right
co-projects that we do to raise money for other groups.
So just to repeat that, I have faith that the Arts Council will be working to bring us back to normalcy because we really need that. Thank you.
So we're not in a question and answer period?
No, comment,
Should we let
please.
David sit down then? Or?
Comments? You have comments?
I would like to see us choose representatives that represent all of our county. And if the requirements preclude 48% from attending easily, that seems problematic when none of the other voluntary associations in our Yuba-Sutter counties have such requirements. And I'm certain that there are places elsewhere that have more stringent requirements, as I'm sure there's places elsewhere that have even less stringent requirements. What I'm concerned about is our community. And in our community, I see music, I see people congregating, and they do so without a vax component to their policy. So I would choose to have a representative, and I would love to see art, and I would love to see money coming into our community for art. And I think that that can be arranged through other organizations that have a policy that's more inclusive. Diversity, inclusion, equity, right? And that can be accomplished. Thank you.
Am I allowed to comment?
We're not debating. All we're taking is comments.
Thank you.
I have a comment as well. So it saddens me that public health mitigation measures have been so politicized and so divisive in our community and across the nation. It saddens me that there is so much controversy surrounding something as routine as passing a resolution to designate Yuba-Sutter Arts and Culture as our local partner to the California Arts Council, something we have done for nearly 40 years. I haven't heard anyone suggest that Yuba-Sutter Arts is doing a poor job with respect to their mission. In fact, I've heard the opposite. At our last meeting, even those who opposed passing this resolution praised Yuba-Sutter Arts for their work in our community. I heard the same thing today. I always appreciate it when the community takes time to provide feedback on a decision that is before this board. Out of all the decisions I've made since joining the board, this ranks near the top with respect to community input. I've received a lot of email feedback this week from the community, including 5 emails urging the board to vote against the resolution and 66 urging us to pass it. We've seen, wasn't quite the same ratio, but we've certainly seen a mix of public speakers today encouraging us to support the resolution, encouraging us to oppose it. I thank those who emailed and those who took time out of your day to come and speak to us, no matter what side of the issue you're on. It's important. It's nice to see the public here. It's nice to see the public paying attention. It's nice to see the public providing input on things that they're passionate about. Since May of 2020, This board has encouraged an educational approach with respect to COVID restrictions rather than one of enforcement. We supported choice and let our businesses and organizations decide what COVID mitigations to implement without fear of consequence from the county. They may have had fear of consequence from the state, but not from the county. I strongly supported that approach, and I still do. It's one of the reasons I believe that Yuba-Sutter Arts and Culture should be free to implement COVID restrictions without fear of consequence from the county. Supporting choice means supporting it on both sides of an issue. Even if I put aside all the feedback we received in support of the resolution and our approach supporting choice with respect to COVID restrictions, I cannot in good conscience vote in a way that would put at risk all the great work that Yuba-Sutter Arts and Culture does in our community, especially for a policy that I suspect will be ending shortly. I urge my fellow board members to support Yuba-Sutter Arts' work in the community by passing this resolution.
So, one of the greatest advantages of being the chairman of the Board of Supervisors, I get the last word. Sometimes positive, sometimes not. But in this case, let me briefly, it's been a long 2 years. It's been a difficult 2 years on this board and certainly on the public, on our economy, on our state and our nation. Very difficult. A lot of things to work out. And I think we've done a fairly good job in all of that. I am somewhat saddened that the Arts Council is drawn into a political positioning. I don't like that. I think what the Arts Council does is tremendous in our community. Not well understood by everyone, but by those that use it, I applaud you. You do a great job. You have done a great job for our community. So I'd hate to repeat what I've already heard here today because it's very positive. And we are a partnership. We have a number of partnerships in our county, and you are one of them. And in any relationship, there are always a bit of push and pull. There are things that you have to work out. But as Don indicated, I do believe that the Arts Council will, in fact, do the right things as we move forward. This has been a very fluid last few months as things change. I trust you, and trust goes a long ways. So continue down that path of trust. Please don't fail the community. Work in the direction that's beneficial for our community. And having said that, I'd like to bring this to a vote.
I'll move to approve the resolution.
I'll second.
I have a first and a second. Roll call, please.
Supervisor Vasquez is absent. Supervisor Blazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Fuhr?
No.
Supervisor Bradford?
Yes.
Supervisor Fletcher?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. This meeting is adjourned.